Hey guys, this is Mike, and this is the third video in the LibGDX desktop tutorial. In this video, I will be talking about the keyboard input. Now, I've been trying to wrap my head around how LibGDX handles all of that keyboard input, and I think I've got most of it down. It has this interface called Input Processor, which I think is kind of similar, at least to me, to the key listeners from Java Ut. Unfortunately, I have not found any way to have libgdx internally, at least, differentiate between a key press and a key down, so I have to do that myself. What I'm talking about is, to me, the difference between a key press and a key down is substantial. A key press would be like something that fires if you press a button and it doesn't fire again until you release the button and then press it again. And a key down would be something that fires constantly as long as the button is held down. So unfortunately, libgdx only has that, I think, at least as far as I know, only has that key down sort of thing where it fires constantly. Let me show you an example. If I do gdx.input, you don't have to copy this, by the way, isKeyJustPressed, keys dot, let's say, space. I'm going to do system.out.println space. So let me bring the console up here. Boosh. And if I try to run this, and if I just tap for a split second the spacebar, you'll see that it registered. How many times is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 6 times or something. It fired off 6 times, and I only pressed it for a split second, so that's not the behavior that I want. So what we're going to do in this video is create our own keyboard management. Let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to create a new package called com.neat.managers. I'm going to keep all of my managers in here. First thing we want to do is create our own custom input processor. I'm going to call this game input processor. Boom. It's going to extend input adapter, which is like a handy class. Thanks to libgdx that implements input processor, so I only have to implement my own or override whatever functions I want, methods. So we're going to override 2 methods: public boolean key down int k and public boolean key up int k. So just return true. I don't really care about the return value of these, they're not important to me. So this is our input, custom input processor. These methods get called whenever we press a key or release a key on the keyboard. Let's go ahead and register that in our game. So over here in create, go down here, gdx.input.set input processor, and we are going to give it our custom processor. New game input processor, like that. Import. Okay, so that's our custom input processor. Now let's go ahead and create our key state manager. New class. I'm going to call this game keys. Game keys is going to be the class that determines the state of our keys. So we're going to need a boolean array of the current key state. So true means the key is pressed, and false means the key is released. So true is down, false is up. We're also going to need another boolean array of p key called p keys, and these are the previous state of the keys. Why do we need to keep track of what the key state was before? I'll explain that later. So for now, I'm gonna have some more stuff in here. Private final int num keys. I only use 8 keys in this game, so just make that 8. Let's go ahead and create the rest of our keys. Public static final int up equals 0. We use 8 of these, by the way. 8. So that's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Up, left, down, right. We also have enter and escape. Space for shooting, and shift for the hyperspace jump. So, oops, why do I have this running? Okay. Anyway, let's go ahead. I'm going to move this down a little bit. Okay. So, we have these 8 keys. Next thing we want to do is make these 2 methods. These are the 2 methods that we will be using for the rest of the game. isDown int k and public static, or not boolean, these are voids. Or yeah, boolean. What am I doing? I'm confusing myself. Oh my god. Boolean is pressed int k. And this is what I want. I want to know the difference, the game to know the difference between a key down and a key press. So key down is pretty simple. This thing should fire off constantly whenever the key is pressed, which is simple. It's just return keys k. And key pressed is not that much harder. When exactly is a key pressed? A key is pressed if the current state of the key is down and the previous state of the key was up. So yeah, that's the big difference between a key down and a key press, for me at least. So key press is when previously the key was up, but now the key is down. Simple. Oops. So let's go ahead and make new, some more methods here. Public void update, public static void update. All we're going to do here is just update all the previous states. In I equals 0, I is less than keys, I plus plus. Then p keys I is equal to keys I. We also have to find a way to set the keys in the array. Public static void set key, and then can't type, int k boolean b. This is just keys k is equal to b. Simple. And now our game input processor. Like I said before, these methods key down and key up get called whenever we actually press stuff on our actual keyboard. So key down. If key is, or it's k, I called it k. If k is equal to keys dot up, import that. Make sure you're importing the correct keys class. It's input.keys from GDX. Then we're gonna do game keys dot set key game keys dot up true. Remember, true is down, so we're gonna use all trues for key down and false for key up. So just copy and paste this 8 more times, or 7 for every key that we have. So this is left, this is left. Make sure they match up. Up, up, left, left. This is down, down, and right. Right. Simple. We also have one for enter. Oops. One for escape. Escape. Let me move this down. Enter. Escape. We have one for space. And we have one for shift. Now, keys actually has 2 different kinds of shifts, one for the left shift and one for the right shift. We're just going to use both of them. If k is equal to keys.left shift, or k is equal to keys.shift right, then set the shift in the game keys array. So that's it for keys down. Let's go ahead and copy and paste this whole thing. Boosh. Like that. Put it in keys up, except this is key up now, so instead of true, we're going to make all these false. Quick way to do that is to just highlight everything. Control F should bring up this find replace box. So we want to find true and replace it with false. Scope, make sure it's in selected items, then replace all. Boom. So all of the trues are now false. So key down true, key up, false. So now all that should be registered into the game keys. Let's go back to our game. Now the last thing we want to do in render is always game keys.updates. We want to keep this thing updated. Import. Okay, so now let's test if this thing actually works. I'm going to bring up the console window up here. How do I clear this thing? Okay, there we go. So let's go ahead and test game keys out. If game keys dot is down, let's test the down is down method first. Game keys dot space. I'm gonna print out space. Boosh. Okay, let's go ahead and test this. So, well, before we test it, let me just say that this should print out constantly whenever the key is down. As long as the space bar is held down, this should be printing out. So let's go ahead and try it. Okay, I'm having problems here. Null pointer exception here. Oh, my bad. Completely forgot to actually initialize these. They're both null. Keys and P keys are null. So go over back into game keys. And the first thing we should have done is just initialize those. Static keys is equal to new boolean num keys, and P keys is equal to new boolean, also num keys. Alright, so hopefully that works. Run it. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to hold down the spacebar button, and you can see it's constantly printing out as long as it's pressed down or held down. So even if I just press it for a split second, it prints out like 50 times, which is fine. So now let's go ahead and test our gamekeys.isPressed method. Is pressed. So this means that space should only print out whenever I actually press it, and it should not print out constantly. So let's go ahead and test it. I'm going to hold down the spacebar, and as you can see, it's not printing out constantly. I'm going to release the spacebar, and I'm going to press it again, and see, so it only prints out once. It prints out every time I actually press the spacebar, which is exactly what I want. I want to know the difference between a press and a key press and a key down. So that's pretty much it for this video. Hopefully you learned something about how LibGDX does its input processing and how it failed me when trying to tell the difference between a key press and a key down, and I had to do it myself. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one.